The National Competitiveness and Productivity Council, NCPC, via funding from Compete Caribbean, commenced work on the National Competitiveness Agenda for St. Lucia. The National Competitiveness Agenda, once completed, will provide the NCPC with the framework to measure how well St. Lucia is performing as it relates to the various actions, policies and initiatives undertaken to improve the island's competitiveness. Fiona Hingston is the director of the NCPC.
When you speak of competitiveness, it's important to benchmark yourself. So the World Economic Forum has established 12 pillars of competitiveness by which we are to measure, countries are to measure themselves in terms of how well they are doing in relation to competitiveness.
Hingston noted that the 12 pillars of competitiveness are broken down into 4 main categories, first of which is the creation of the enabling environment.
The second category, the human capital, where you look at the skills of the population as well as the health of the population, markets in terms of trade, how are you doing in that area, and the innovation ecosystem, looking at the ease of doing business environment as well as the innovation capability.
Product development consultant with Compete Caribbean, Dr. Kyron Smith, is part of a 2-man team interfacing with various stakeholders on island, soliciting their input for the development of St. Lucia's competitiveness agenda.
The competitiveness agenda for St. Lucia is expected to really help bring together a lot of the work, a lot of studies and analysis that have gone before in terms of identifying St. Lucia's particular economic strengths, particular vision and direction in which it wants to go, and really bring those together to help the coordination of the action, the implementation of the recommendations that have been brought forward.
He noted that Compete Caribbean operates on the perspective that in order to have a strong and resilient Caribbean, you need a strong and resilient private sector. Carlos Diaz is the director of entrepreneurial competitiveness with Infide, the consultants hired by Compete Caribbean to develop the competitiveness agenda for St. Lucia. Infide is a private international consultancy firm based in Spain, specializing in economic development policies and innovation strategies for national and regional governments around the world.
In this week, we will have a lot of interviews and roundtables with representatives of the pillars of the competitiveness of the country. And the focus of these meetings is to gather information about the competitiveness and productivity situation of the country.
The NCPC director noted that the formulation of the competitiveness agenda for St. Lucia will involve multiple consultations with the private sector, civil society organizations, the youth, among other important stakeholders. For the National Competitiveness and Productivity Unit, Glenn Simon reporting.